Hello everyone and welcome back to the last video about the edit page. We of course can speak indefinitely, especially about Fusion and color page, but this is the beginner's tutorial, so we're not going to cover everything there is to cover in here. So this is going to be the last part about the edit page, and we are going to start with transitions. Once you click on Effects and go to Video Transitions, let's discuss Video Transitions first. You're going to find numerous transitions in here. You got your basic dissolves, you got your iris, you got your motion, shape, wipes. You can experiment with them, get some complicated ones like fusion transitions. But how do you work with them? Well, the easiest way is to let me just refine this a bit and I'll explain why. Sorry. Yeah, you can just add a transition in here, and when you play your footage, it's going to be there. You can refine this transition right in your inspector. As you can see, when I click to the transition, it opens an inspector. If you click on here, it opens an inspector window. You can change the transition itself. In here, you can change the duration, that is either in seconds or frames. You can determine whether it's going to be on your last frames on your first video or first frames on your second video, or in between. You can set ratio. You can ease in out. I'm going to talk about that. It means that the transition follows like a straight line from bottom left to top right. And you can in out, ease in out. It means that the beginning of the video of the transition will be slower, then it's going to expedite, and if you choose, for example, in and out, it's going to slow back again to the end of the transition. We're going to talk about that. And you can choose custom, and this way you're going to refine your transition manually. Okay? Right. Now, you probably have seen that at the beginning, before applying the transition, I refined this clip. Why did I do that? This is because if this is the end or the very beginning of your clip, you cannot really add a transition. See what happens. I just take this transition and drag and drop it in here. As you can see, DaVinci shows us that I can put the transition only in here. I cannot put it like in between them. This is because DaVinci doesn't have enough frames, because I dragged this footage towards the very end of the footage, and DaVinci does not have like those 5 or how many frames, or 24 frames for the transition to work. There is a way how you can do that if you do not have enough frames. You can select this edit point, right click, add 6 frame of cross dissolve. And the DaVinci will show you that some of the clips selected have insufficient handles to apply the transition. You can choose to trim clips or shorten your timeline, or skip this with insufficient handles. So you just select trim clips, it's going to automatically trim the insufficient clip to the length that DaVinci requires to put this transition in here. Okay. Now you can adjust the length of transition in here. As you can see, I can make it shorter, I can make it longer, the same way that I would do in this inspector, but more like a visual representation of what I'm doing. Okay. There is also a way how to add a transition in a very quick and automatic way. For example, my playhead is in here. I just can press V to move to the closest edit point and press Ctrl T. We get the same window as before because we do not have sufficient frames. You can press trim clips and it's going to add a transition. But we can view a lot of transitions in here. But when I press Ctrl T, it's going to add only one particular transition. And that transition is called a default one, a standard transition. And this transition is marked by this red line in here. This is cross dissolve. Cross dissolve will be added every time you press Ctrl T closest to the edit point. You can change your standard transition, right click, select a standard transition. And if I, for example, right click on a smooth cut and choose a standard transition, every time I hit Ctrl T on the edit point, it's going to add a smooth cut. Okay. Also, you can have your favorite transitions. You just need to press this star to make it, to move it to your favorite transitions. Okay. Now, I'm going to delete that. When you add a transition, whoops, not what I wanted. When you add a transition, you can alter this transition using transition curves. As I was talking before, yeah, as you can see, when I press Ctrl T, it automatically added transition not only to video portion, but also to the audio portion as well. Not really what I need in here, okay. Just as an example, I can drag and drop here, dissolve transition that is different. Okay, easing in, easing out, custom, click on this diamond and click on this symbol. This way, we can define the way the transition is going to behave. And by the way, this way can be used to alter the way something behaves in the video clip itself and or in the audio clip. I'm going to show you how to do that later. You can select both of those points and define the way they are going to look. How am I going to select you? Shift? Yeah, with Shift. At this time, this is just a straight line. But for example, I want easing in and easing out. I can press this symbol and create an S curve. It means it's going to be a bit slower at the beginning and at the end, but it's going to happen very quickly at the middle of the clip. If I wanted to create an additional point in here for some reason, I would press Alt and just click in here. And now we have an additional point which we have to specify the way it behaves. We've got these handles to make it sharper, make it smoother, right? This is, for example, a very drastic looking transition. Everything at the beginning and at the end will be very slow, but will happen just instantly at the center and the middle of the clip, and in the middle of the transition, better say. Yeah. So this way you can alter the way everything looks in here. Okay. Let's close all of that. And this way we can use those transitions. Now, this is all I wanted to say about transition. Just experiment, just choose any transition that you want, just have a look how they work. But we are going to move on to the audio. The next thing that we're going to discuss is audio. When you click on your audio in the media page, right click on it and select clip attributes. And you're going to see that there is this format and source channels. If you have a video format that is not stereo or mono, or you want to select something else, you would think that you need to select something in here. But when I do this, nothing changes, because this is the setting that you would select if you want to add additional sources and additional lines in here. For example, I choose 7.1 film, click add, and we've added additional channels in here. But if I want to, let's undo this. But if I want to change the way this audio is going to work right now, I can click in here, for example, 7.1, and I need to determine in here what kind of source this is going to use. Okay. But sometimes people who record music I'm not the one, that's why I just read about it, and I'm going to show you in here. Sometimes you record like several people or several instruments in one audio file, and you need to predetermine everything in here, every audio that is going to come in here. This way you can select adaptive like 5 if you have 5 channels, and you need to predetermine those channels in here. Okay, gonna cancel that, and then when you drag it and drop it in here, it's going to be one audio file. But if you right click on the audio file, you can display it as several files that are going to go down each on every separate track. By the way, you can change the type of the track right here. Right click, change type track to mono, stereo, or whatever you want. Okay, like any video or transition, every audio is going to have separate like inspector characteristics or settings. When you click on a file that is linked video with audio, it's going to give you an option to click on the audio to have a look at your audio settings. Oops. Now, the main one is volume. Obviously, you can increase or decrease it. As you can see, the waveform below is changing the way it looks because I'm increasing the audio. Double click on that to return to the original, to default position. Pan, whether you're going to hear it from left to right, right ear or left ear. Semitone sense. I'm not an audio engineer and I'm not an audio guy. I'm not going to explain you, at least in this page, the difference in how to work with them, so just experiment and see what it does. You can enable equalizer in here and just equalize it the way you want, but we're going to talk about equalizer and how to do that once we get to the Fairlight, because this is not the way I would typically use equalizer. It typically is used when you add like special equalizer in here, like totally like fully functional equalizer. It doesn't mean that equalizer is not fully functional like this one, but it is much more convenient to add it in here rather than using this one. When I increase the volume in here, you can do the same thing, but on the timeline itself. You just need to grab, maybe you can, maybe you cannot see, but there is a line in here, and when I move my mouse towards this line, on this line, it's going to change the way it looks to this like double arrow. When I left click on it, I can move it up and down to increase it, to decrease the volume. If I want a fine control, I can press, I remember it's control, no, shift. I can press shift, and this way it's going to be very delicate control. If you need to like not 11 but exactly 12, you can press shift and try to fine tune this 12, or you can just double click in here, type 12, enter. It will be much easier. Okay, you can create keyframes on the audio, because this is the type of thing that you need to do almost every edit that you're doing. How do you do that? You're gonna find, let's do it on this because this is already normalized. You're gonna find an area where you need to add a keyframe. Press Alt, and on this line where I showed you, this line is very high because this audio is normalized. Okay, let's get this back to this one. Yeah, you're gonna find this line, press Alt and left click, it's going to create a point. Okay, you can create as many points as you wish. For example, to reduce the audio portion and then go back up, you're gonna to create 4 points, reduce the middle portion, and this way the audio is going like a ducking audio. It's going to go down and then go up again. You can make it like a fade, but there is actually a better way to do that. I'm going to show you in a bit. Now, for example, we create some points and we need to change, create a point. Thank you very much. And we need to change the way they are working together. We're going to click this button. And for now, they are displayed like just straight lines. We're going to select all of these points, click in here, and now it's going to behave like a bit smoother if you wish, if you really need to do that. Not sure if you can really tell that it is used when you hear in the audio, but you can do that if you need to. Now, these audio points, they are, as you can see, I've created them, I moved them in here, but they are actually keyframes. What does it mean? Look in the inspector. First of all, you can see this arrow close to a diamond. It means that I can move to the next keyframe, to the last keyframe. It means that it has been keyframed. When I move using these arrows to the right, you can see that it goes each frame like it is animated. Okay, so this is the easy way to animate the audio, or you can do it like this way. You can just place your playhead in here, click this diamond, go like a couple of frames to the right, then reduce the volume and have a look at the timeline. It's creating the same thing that I did before, but on the timeline itself. Okay, this is the same thing, and it's going to behave in the same way. We also have, when you move your mouse closest to the end, you're gonna see this little thing. This is audio fade handle. So it's going to create an auto fade. Remember, I was showing you when you can create these couple of points and just reduce this one, so the audio would gradually decrease towards the end of the audio file. You can have the same thing just by doing this. And when you play, the audio is going to go down very smoothly, creating a fade. You can also change the way it behaves, creating a little curve, whether you want to change it like drastically and then go slow, or go slow and then drastically, just like the way you want it. You can have the same very thing with a video file. Once you move this thing, it's going to reduce the opacity of the video clip very gradually, for example, like this. Yeah, it's going to reduce the opacity. By the way, the opacity slider is in here, okay? And the composite mode, it's totally like a separate subject, because to understand all of those, I have no idea what I'm going to tell you, but it's going to be later, that's for sure. Yeah, it's going to create this fading effect, okay? Now, any audio in here you can normalize. Right click, normalize audio levels. And there are some presets. I cannot move this. Thank you very much. You can normalize according to any preset that you want. For example, sample peak, program true peaks, and bunch of things that I have no idea how to use and what they're referring to, because I'm not an audio guy at all. We can even have we even have here a Netflix preset. You can normalize it to Netflix if you want. Now let's talk about audio mixer that I always forget to move my face from. Let me just move it right here. Yeah, now this is the audio mixer. This thing is going to show you how loud your audio, or yeah, as you can see, it's going to show the source from audio 1. If we just add, excusez-moi, let's add something else to the track number 2, and it's going to show automatically add track number 2, and it's going to show you the sound coming from track number 1 and track number 2. For example, we have 2 different types of music. And it's going to show you that the first music is louder, the music number 1 is quieter, and the sum of those sounds is, yeah, quite loud. So this is the sound mixer. You can double click in here to like adjust your audio pan if you need. We have pretty much the same controls in the Fairlight page, but more like defined, more complicated. And we are going to discuss it later. For now, this is just an audio mixer. You can refer to it when you're editing. Now let's return my face to the original position. Thank you very much. Now let's talk about effects. Effects are used the same way like everything. We can click effect, go to open effects, for example, and we just drag and drop box blur onto our clip. As you can see, our clip became blurry. This is what we wanted, but we didn't really want it to become blurry right away, because typically blur, we want this blur to go gradually from not blurry to blurry, like as if we were rotating the focus ring on the lens. So we can go to the effects in here. Now we have this, and we can increase or reduce the strength for any particular like effect. This is going to be, the controls are going to be different depending on the effect itself, and we can animate it. For example, we can click those diamonds, move like a couple of seconds in here, and just increase the blur, and when you play it, yeah, it's going to be animated. Okay. We are going to talk, well, we are probably going to talk, maybe not. Typically those effects are applied in the color page, because you can have a separate node for them. You typically apply them in there, but if you want, you can apply any effect just right in here in your edit page. But you can also apply effects not to the clip itself, but to the adjustment clip. If you are familiar with Adobe Premiere, and this is a very common way to apply like a color grade or apply any effect, is to use an adjustment clip. I'm gonna go to effects, adjustment clip, I'm gonna drag it in here. What it's going to do, anything we apply on top of the adjustment clip, it's going to apply it it's going to look like it is applied to the clip itself. Let me show you that. We're gonna go to the effect, we're gonna go to the same, absolutely the same effect, box blur, and as you can see, it looks like it is applied to the image itself, but it is applied to the separate adjustment clip. And why it is it can be useful, because we can just fine-tune the effect in here, okay, with all the animations and all of that, and then just copy this effect and just easily control like the length of it. We can easily control the like how it's going to come up in here just by reducing the initial opacity to controlling these sliders. We can change the way the effect looks, because if we had to apply it in here and just do this, it's going to affect the whole image, but we do not really want that. We want the image to stay consistent, and we want to affect the effect gradually coming up on the clip. If we had to apply it to here, we had to do this manual like keyframing, and in here you just drag this slider, and that's all you have to do. That's why adjustments clip are really handy. Now, if you made several changes to a clip and you want to copy the same thing to the to other clip, you can press this clip, Control-C, now this clip, and Alt-V. And we have this window, Paste Attributes. For example, in this clip, you change the composite mode, opacity, you animated zoom, scale, you use your retime process, and yada yada. And you want to apply the same, absolutely the same thing to the other clip. So you can press Ctrl-C on this clip, Alt-V on this, choose whatever you want to copy, and click Apply. But if you want to delete them, because you applied something that you didn't want to, you can go to Edit and to remove remove attributes. As you can see, Paste Attributes, Alt-V, and you in here just remove attributes, and you go into select which attributes you want to be removed. The only thing that is left in here, almost the only thing. We also have audio transition, but not really something interesting to talk about here. But we have titles. We have simple titles and we have fusion titles. Fusion titles, it means they are complicated. They are made in the Fusion, and they typically have some sort of animation. In the previous versions of DaVinci Resolve, they used to be extremely laggy, but now they are really, really good, and they go into play in the real time and do not cause any problems. At least I hope so. Yeah, those are your titles, and if you drop one in here, you're gonna have in the inspector the settings of these titles, where you can change size, you can change the, of course, the text itself, choose a different font, color, and everything. Just play with it and see for yourself what you can do with any title. Now let's talk about the speed of your video clip, because today a really trendy thing is to create these, I don't even remember how they're called, speed ramps. Yeah, to create speed ramps. I'm too old for that. You can create speed ramps in here. What am I talking about? First of all, you can change the clip speed, the entire clip. Control G if this is by default, but I think this is by default. Change clip duration, not this. Change clip speed. Yeah, Control G. You can change the speed of this clip to make it like go faster or slower, but slower, it's a bit complicated. It's you can apply that only if this clip is like higher than your timeline frame rate, but we're not going to talk about that in here. You can reverse speed, you can freeze frame, ripple timeline, pitch correction, stretch to fit, and all of that. But we are going to talk about Retime Control. We have this control in here. What is it? Click in here and press add speed point. I'm going to explain what I'm doing right now. And add speed point in here. This way we can create a speed ramp. For example, I can move it in here, and what is going to happen? This portion of the clip is going to play as usual at 100%. Once we get to this point, it's going to increase its speed to 742%. Then once we get to this point, it's going to reduce its speed back to 100%. And this way, these like speed ramps, they are created. Okay. And as you can see, this icon shows us that the clip's speed has been changed. If we open this thing, we can choose a parameter in here. Why do I open only regarding to the audio? Because the same thing has got to be in the video portion. Retime Control, pitch correction, speed ramp. I didn't find it in here previously. Maybe that's new. Yeah, it can create a speed ramp automatically and lets you refine the portions. I didn't really find that before, and lets you refine the portions of the video clip to create a speed ramp. This is something new. Maybe I just didn't know that it was in here, but to me this is something new. Yeah, reset clip. So this way you can change the clip speed and retime curve. Yeah, typically you would have a diamond in here, but when you changing the clip speed, you're gonna have to act a bit differently. For example, I create this speed ramp in here, but I want to go it smoothly up, smoothly down. I need to right click and choose Retime Control. This way we have retime frames in here, and we are going to change the way everything looks in here. Just a moment. No, retime frame we do not need. Retime speed. This is the way, what we are looking for. I haven't done these things for a very long time, so excuse me for my lagginess. So, cancel, I do not want to exit. Yeah, you can select this like point And my DaVinci is frozen. Nice, it doesn't react to anything I do. Will you? Thank you, please. Excusez-moi. DaVinci, talk to me. Thank you very much. Probably the recording has stopped too. DaVinci Resolve and Task. So, let's continue our tutorial that was ended abruptly. Right. Let's create the same thing. Go to Retime Control, create point in here, go in here, create point in here, drag it, and create a speed ramp. Now, right-click, Retime Curve. Thank you. What is happening? Retime Curve. Yeah, finally. We need to change that from Retime Frame to Retime Speed. And this is how it's supposed to look. Thank you very much. Now, selecting one point, shift the other point. Come on, Control. No? Okay, we're gonna deal with them separately. What's going on today? You just clicking in here and just clicking here. And now you have these handles that will allow you to make your speed ramp much smoother. Freaking finally. DaVinci really doesn't want to cooperate today a little bit. You can click close Retime Control and click and close this thing. Yeah, and now we have a speed ramp in here. Woo! Finally. Now, the only thing we have left to discuss is a freeze frame. In order to create a freeze frame, I would used to do this way. I would Control G, create freeze frame, and this way it's going to create. You're about to replace a non-linear speed map. Replace. What? This is not what I wanted. So it's created a cut, and from this frame it's created a freeze frame, which is like basically a picture. But there is an easier way to create a speed ramp. For example, I can move this playhead to the portion of the video from which I want to create a freeze frame. Once I found it, for example, I need to create a freeze frame for this particular frame. I need to press Shift R, and this particular frame is now occupying the whole length of the video clip. And now all we have is this frame. It's called freeze frame. Woo! Finally, now we are done. We are done, absolutely done with the edit page for beginners. Maybe I will be returning to show you some examples once we get to them, like more advanced or intermediate stage. But for now, the edit page, we are done with it. The next lesson, we're going to move to the Fusion, and we are going to spend a lot of time in here because it is complicated. For the person who's not worked with special effects, especially in this like fashion, it is going to be very complicated, but I will try to move through the Fusion page. I'm not an expert in this too, so I will be learning along the way, but I will try to move through the Fusion page as slowly as possible for you to just be able to grab everything that I'm talking about in here and to try on your own. And for now, thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next video about the Fusion page. Bye.